भगोत्पवाय नमः महादेवाय नमो ज्येष्ठाय नमः श्रेष्ठाय नमो रुद्राय नमः कालाय नमः करविकर्णाय नमो बलविकर्णाय नमो बलाय नमः बलप्रमदनाय नमः सर्वभूततमनाय नमो मनोन्मनाय नमः विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात् ईशान सर्वविद्यानां ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपतिः ब्रह्मणोऽधिपतिः ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो नमो हिरण्यवाहवे हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः
On behalf of the government family, I just want to say thank you to all of you being here today. My name is Dhevin, and I'm going to be your program director for this afternoon. The program is going to, as Dhevin was a very spiritual person and we loved his chanting, we are going to be starting with a number of chants. If you know the chants, please feel free to join in on the chanting, and thereafter there will be bhajans that will be sung. Sai bhajans will be sung as well as bhajans from the Devarams. These were particularly chosen because they were very important to Dhevin. And so if you don't know the bhajans and you don't know the chants, then please just be silent and listen in and take in the energy and pray for Dhevin's soul. We will have a few speakers along the way as we go along, so please just join in on the chants. While the chants are continuing, you are welcome to come forward to offer the flower petals as well as the sandalwood that has been placed in the basket in front. So offer your individual prayer to Dhevin, and so we can start maybe from that side. You could come in and start praying while we will continue our chants.
देवीर्वाजनीपति ीनामविद्वयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् ह्रीं नमः शिवाय ॐ ह्रीं नमः शिवाय ॐ ह्रीं नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय शिवाय वन्दे शम्भो उमापतिं सुरगुरु वन्दे जगत्कारणं वन्दे पन्नगभूषणं शशिधरं वन्दे पशुनापतिं वन्दे सूर्यशशङ्कवहीनयनं वन्दे मुकुन्दप्रियं वन्दे भक्तजनसहस्रवर्धनं वन्दे शिवं शङ्करम्
रुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। नमो हिरण्यवाहवे सेनाढ्ये शान्तपतये नमो नमो सख्येभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यो प्रसूनापतये नमो नमः। सस्मिञ्जराय विषेमते पत्नीनापतये नमो नमः। अक्षुषाय विद्याधिने पतये नमो नमः। हरिकेशाय उपवीतिने पतये नमो नमो भवस्य एते जगता पतये नमो नमो रुद्राय सदाविने क्षेत्राणां पतये नमो नमः। सूताय अन्त्याय वृषाणां पतये नमो नमो रोहिताय पतये वृक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो मन्दिरे वायुराय वृक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो भुवन्यये वार्यस्थितायोषधीनां पतये नमो नमः। कुञ्जेतोषाय ग्रन्थयते पत्नीनां पतये नमो नमः। विष्णवीताय वामते सत्मनां पतये नमः। आद्यादिनीनां पतये नमो नमः। सुवाय निशङ्गिने सेनानां पतये नमो नमः। निशङ्गिने निशुमते तस्सराणां पतये नमो नमः। पञ्चते परिमञ्चते सानुनां पतये नमो नमो। निचेरवे पर्जरायारण्यानां पतये नमो नमः। आदित्यो निलातं सत्यो विष्णुतां नमो नमो। सिमत्यो नमः चरव्यस्य ग्रन्थानां पतये नमो नमः। कराय कुलञ्चानां पतये नमो नमः। शिशुभ्योऽहं आविभ्यश्च नमो नमः। आतङ्कानेभ्यो प्रतिददानेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। आयस्यभ्यो सृजद्भ्यश्च नमो नमोऽस्यभ्यो ीयभ्यश्च नमो नमः। अभ्यो जागृतभ्यश्च नमो नमः। सभाभ्यस्तभापतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। अष्टेभ्यो स्वपतिभ्यश्च नमः। व्याधीभ्यो विविद्यन्तेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। विघ्नाभ्यस्ततं हतेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। ब्रह्मेभ्यो ब्रह्मसपतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। प्राणेभ्यो प्रातपतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। विष्णुभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। अद्यः शूलकेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। रतिभ्यो रतेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। रतेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। सेनानाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। शत्रुभ्यः सङ्गहेन्द्रभ्यश्च नमो नमस्तक्षभ्यो कुलालेभ्यः कर्मालेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। कुञ्जस्तेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च नमो नमः। अश्वनिभ्यश्च नमो पशुपति तनया बालक पशुपति तनया बालक पशुपति तनया बालक
were all very special for Dhevin, and they were specifically chosen because those are the to sing when he engaged in prayer. We have 3 speakers for today, but there's several messages, tributes coming in from literally from around the world. And I will read possible, I'll read the entire thing. They're short, but maybe even extracts. Which comes from Nedbank, where Dhevin worked. And this is their message. Please accept our heartfelt condolences on the loss of our precious, to have crossed paths with such a spiritual, intellectual, and humble person. Dhevin was an epitome of how would the family deal with this difficult time, with love from Willem, Tidett, and the Nedbank family. Our first speaker for today is from Thomas Science Center. Dhevin started off his side journey through Thomas Science Center many years ago. And so I thought that would be an appropriate point to start off with the first speaker starting off from where one of his spiritual journeys. And while he was at Thomas Science Center, Dhevin was also actively involved in the Thomas Sabha. And that's where he attended both the Monday service at Sabha as well as the Thursday Sai service. And so I'll call on Sister Shishi Chinella to address you on behalf of Thomas Sai Center.
Quoting around the lotus feet of our beloved Messiah, all she's flying out to all of you. I'm so sorry, but it's a very difficult task for me, and I pray strong takes me through this. And the reason I say quoting around is millions of thanks to Swami to give me this opportunity to attribute for this. On behalf of the members of the Thomas Sai Center, we want to pay tribute to a very noble and a very humble soul, Dhevin. The Thomas Sai Center for more than 30 years. We were blessed indeed at the Thomas Sai Center to cross paths not only with Dhevin, but with the entire family. The late Uncle Sada and family left footprints of love, kindness, hospitality, and selflessness in the community of Thomas. I quote Baba. The devotee that is dear to me is the one that is steadfast and unwavering in any situation. With his mind firmly rooted in God, he should engage himself in service to others and perform actions in the spirit of detachment. Sri Satya Sai speaks, volume 23, chapter 31, unquote. There was this dear, humble devotee to God, an epitome of the 5 deep principles of duty, devotion, discipline, determination, and discrimination. If I take duty, he was a doting son and brother who executed his task that an ideal son or brother would do. Devotion, his bhakti towards God was on a very high conscious level, where he functioned from the soul level and not from the body level. Today is an auspicious day, namely Pradosha on this day. A true devotee of Sai Shiva. Last month we had a long telephonic conversation purely on the power of Vedam. And he said, Shishi, Vedam was the pinnacle of my life. And he says, continue on this journey because this concludes you. It was a very long conversation, and in that conversation as well, he spoke about death. And he said, it's so beautiful and it's so pure, you know. It's so difficult for me to actually, just remember all those things he said. But it was almost an hour that we had a conversation. It was unlike him to call me during working hours. Normally when he needs to make a call, do it after work, or send me an email, so she or whatever. But it was that day, if I could only remember why, and now I have the answer. He said Swami's Lord Shiva, because he had experienced Swami on his recent pilgrimage to the Shiva temple in the north of India with his mother. opportunity to sing at the Shiva temple together the Thevaram song that was composed by the great Tirunjana Sambandar, a poet and a Bala yogi from the Tamil Nadu. What a beautiful opportunity from Lord Shiva himself. You know, it is not everybody that can get this divine opportunity. Someone is said to have composed a song after Shiva and Parvati appeared to him in a temple where he was 3 years old. His father noticed drops of milk on his lips, and it is said that the goddess Parvati fed him with the milk of wisdom. So our brother was already given that nectar. Samandar expressed his enlightenment to this Thevaram song, Thodu Deya Sevi, which we just sang now. How blessed was Auntie Sandy and they were to get the nectar of this temple, and now apt that Auntie Sandy, being a divine soul herself, to have been gifted this trip to her son. Dhevin was an embodiment of wisdom. His countless discourses on practical living and the knowledge that he shared from the scriptures were most enlightening and spiritually rewarding. When he used to do these discourses at Torah Science Center. He also served as a spiritual convener with sound excellence. Dhevin and our late Uncle son, Kevin, were highly spiritually enlightened souls, dynamic youth on the North Coast region. A soul of this caliber is hard to come by. He lived by Swami's teachings, simple living but high thinking. I repeat, simple living but high. Always so humble, so much in control of himself, nothing determined. To Auntie Sandy, Devi, Jesh, and Trisha. Your life in this earth. Mother Earth has lost a gem, but heaven has gained an angel. On behalf of the members of the Tonga Sai Center, there's no words in our lives for being our mentor in so many ways, guiding us and making sense of so many things. There's not enough words from the Tonga Sai Center, and go well, my dear brother, until we meet again. Jesus.
Thank you, Sister Shishi. We will continue with a few more pledges, and then we will continue with a few more tributes and then the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you for those beautiful pageants. It's been 6 months since Enrique passed away and Dhevin passed on. The first thing that struck me when I discovered the timeline was I said, they probably both of them together having a pageant session in Swami. Because that's what they both thoroughly enjoyed doing. The next message I'm going to read is a very special one. That would have been also another special one for Dhevin. In his young days, that Tom and I said to Dhevin was very actively involved with the Sai youth in Tongat. You know, I recall, I was actually Tongat Sai youth convener at the time and subsequently regional youth convener. And I just want to share a memory because it was one of those, the different side of Dhevin. We all know the very spiritual side of Dhevin. But Dhevin was also a person who was so full of humor. And he had this wonderful sense of humor about him. And I remember once he was trying to explain something. And so he described it, instead of just saying, this was many years ago. So Dhevin decided to describe it in terms of hair. And so if you all knew Uncle Peru, he said Uncle Peru had black hair. Uncle Mike Balkisu had hair, and I had short hair. That was how Dhevin described it, because at that time Uncle Mike was completely bald and Dhevin's hair had grown long. So he had to describe it. He had that sense of how he would put things, rather than just saying it the way we would in our boring way. Uncle Peru had black hair, I had hair, I had not short hair, and Uncle Mike had hair. Another incident I remember in our Sai youth days was all the centers in Tonga came together to celebrate Swami's birthday, and we decided that we were going to have one joint big celebration. And so all the youth got together to put together a play. And I'm sure, Devi and part of that production at the time. And so as the youth, everybody got together, we workshopped the ideas of the concept of what we wanted to do in that play. And we decided it should be a very humorous way in which we conveyed some of Swami's messages. And of course at that time they knew exactly and which of Akasada's coats he was going to wear. And I can see some of you smiling because you know the Dhevin and how he would think. And the moment Dhevin stepped onto the stage, because he was such a sight, with that bright colored tie and a totally mismatched coat that he wore. But that was part of how he wanted to just, everything doesn't have to be serious. And he really took the message of that Swami said that spirituality has to be fun. And so I thought I should just share that as well. Even in this moment of difficulty and sadness we feel, we must remember also that side of Dhevin and the side that out in each of us. So from some of the Sai youth from back in the day, there's a message that's come in. And they are, some of them are literally in different parts of the world. And the message comes from Sumen, and his family are currently living in the UK. Sumen govender, Teki govender, who's living in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi, and Kamal Naidu, who's faithfully stayed on in South Africa. Dhevin Govender was a remarkable soul who left an indelible mark on all our lives. Dhevin was a son, a brother, a friend, and a spiritual and beyond. His journey through life was one deeply intertwined with spirituality, compassion, and service to others. As a devoted member of the Sai movement, Dhevin lived by the teachings of Sri Satya Sai Baba, embodying the values of love, selflessness, and unity. His life was a true reflection of Seva, which he carried out with a full and open heart, whether it was through his active participation in community service projects, his calm presence during prayer meetings, or his comforting words in times of need. Dhevin touched the lives of countless. To many, he was not just a friend, but a beacon of light and hope, always offering a helping hand or listening ear. His unwavering faith and dedication to strive towards greater spiritual understanding. He understood that the greatest wealth in life comes not from material possessions, but from the love we share and the service we. His life was a testament to the message that service to man is service to God, and he inspired so many to follow in his footsteps. Dhevin, one of Dhevin's most cherished roles was within the Tonga and Santon Sai Centers, where he contributed tirelessly, organizing events, leading devotional singing, and encouraging others on their spiritual journey. His voice, both in prayer and in everyday conversations, resonated with warmth and sincerity, uplifting all those who had the privilege of hearing it. His efforts helped to build a community centered around faith, service, and love, leaving a lasting legacy that will continue to inspire future generations. Dhevin was also a man of humility, never seeking recognition for the good he did, but instead finding joy in the very act of giving. His kindness was extended to everyone he met. He left an impression of grace and compassion in all his interactions. He believed that life's greatest fulfillment lay in serving others, and in this he truly embodied the message of love all serve all. Though we grieve the loss of Dhevin in this physical world, his spirit will continue to live in our hearts. His life reminds us that in the end, it is not the years we live, but the love we give and the lives we touch that matter most. As we reflect on his life, let us honor his memory and carry forward the lessons he taught us. The lessons he taught us to love unconditionally, to serve selflessly, and to live with integrity. Take solace in knowing that you are now in the loving arms of our beloved Swami. And may we carry forward his legacy of love and spiritual devotion. Om Sai Ram. This comes from Smen, Sanusha, Dakshina govender from the UK, State governor from the UAE, and Kamal from South Africa. Our next tribute is a very special one. That was written by Yogini, who was like a sister to Dhevin and who lived for many years in their childhood as Paul Suresan, Yogini's brother, who will read the message on behalf of the family. So listen.
Mahaprabhu pronounced at the lotus feet of our beloved Sri Sati Sai Baba. Om Sai Ram, everybody. You know, I was just thinking about the life of Dhevin and how in Swami's divine plan he brought the govender family and the Naidu family together. And from the time I was very small, I think I must have been about 5 or 6 years old, when Uncle Sada and Auntie Sandy, Dhevin, Devi and Jesh moved in next door to us. And ever since then, there's been a special bond between the families. And then later on, Trisha came along, and I remember I used to walk to school with Dhevin every morning. And Dhevin was a prefect, and so I could go late, right? Because it was a hip. And every morning I would play with Trisha, waiting for Dhevin to get ready. And my sister Yogini and Jesh have been best friends from the time of 2-3 years old and up until today. And Dhevin has been a very special part of our family. Dhevin and my father were very, very close. He he was another brother to you and myself, and a son to my mother and my father. And Papa spoke very fondly of Dhevin. You know, in our house, there's pictures of everybody. And there's a picture of Dhevin, right, on his graduation. Right? It's in our cabinet amongst everything else. So that's what a very special place that Dhevin held. And for Papa, he was so proud of him for anything that Dhevin did. He was proud to speak with Dhevin and converse with him, right, and have these deep intellectual conversations. And as much as Dhevin started with my father and going to services and things like that, but Dhevin took it to another level. Dhavin's spirituality level was something that we all admired and aspired, and he taught so many of us so many different things. Right? As Divya mentioned, when Dhevin used to talk to anybody, whether it was a little child to the grannies and the grandfathers, Dhevin would just take delight in speaking to them. And there's a lot of things that I'm going to now read Yogi's tribute that you'll see exactly what Dhevin meant to our family. So Yogi writes, there are some people who are in your life by birth, and there are some who come into your life by divine grace. Dhevin, whilst not a brother by birth, he was my brother in every other sense, being a constant presence in my life from as far back as I can remember. Dhevin walked this earth as if always knowing it was just a mere formality to make his way back to the divine. Anyone who met Dhevin could pick up instantly he was an old soul. His depth of intellect, his wondrous memory, and his deep and profound spirituality exuded from him, creating almost an aura that impacted everyone who engaged with him. That probably explains the connection that he and my father had. Two souls who probably orbited many lifetimes together, finding each other in this one, drawn together, lighting the spiritual paths for all those of us who had the privilege to have been in their lives. I am still in shock and still coming to terms with this immense loss a mere 6 months after losing our father. The only consolation I have is that they are both now reunited and will be forever inspirations to lead a spiritual, loving, peaceful, dharmic life like they both did. Love you forever, my dearest brother. I will never forget everything you did for us and Papa. Your legacy lives on in your music that you gifted us and all the beautiful memories we have shared with you. Go with love, Brother Dhevin. From Yogi Siresan, Atiendra, Resh Saranya Vayusni, Taraje, and Taven Sai. We love you, Dev. You will always be missed forever in our hearts. Jai Sai.
Sundaramavadu
Devin's journey and his life, years ago, and when he moved to Europe, he became very actively involved in Center and Science Center. And so I'm going to read a that's come through from the Center and Science Center. Om Sai Ram, Hari Om, Hari Om. As this unexpected day arrives for each of us, that has left a huge void and certainly footprints of inspiration, education, memories, and love in all our hearts, especially for you. Incomprehensible present, and as we operate through life with such reality, we must equally be grateful and thankful to God for loaning us these beacons of love, a new perspective in teaching, a warm hug, etc. Certainly our brother Dhevin has been this and more to me. It wouldn't be an easy day, but hopefully this perspective shared helps heal some part of our present wound and void. As we bathe in the rich memories he's writing, as we ask God's compassion, mercy, and love for our brother's smooth transit back to his divine abode. Brother Dhevin, many till we meet again, we love you. And this comes from Sanctum Science Center. Dhevin in his life had many friends that could just communicate and engage and talk to anybody at their level. One very special friend that has been an outstanding friend in his life is our next. They have both been on the spiritual path together, and so Terence, I call on you to be more special tribute to them.
Thank you very much, Auntie Sandy, David, and Jesh for allowing me to speak. I want to read a couple of messages and covers what I was going to say. One is from my brother-in-law Ravi and sister from the USA. And Ravi says, Dhevin and I went to Bangladesh, my wife, in South Africa with big dreams. We like the same things, we like the same books, the same literature. We have this deep appreciation of Tamil classical music, going to the depths of devotional songs, birthdays, he was invited to functions, and really it was automatically part of the family, as a core of his stability, our stability. Sessions that ended late at night, talking for hours at family functions. His knowledge of music, literature, history, second to none. He was just being able to draw from these sources and sometimes misunderstood because of his huge command of the English language. His spirituality, generosity is unspoken because of his humility involved in that he would give the shirt of our back for us. And we became this kind of to Johannesburg, and his son played guitar, and then we instantly arranged a recording studio session for him. My nephew was so touched by it all, and then my sister, he was the kindest and wealthiest person that we ever knew. He was going to constantly help, and we can't express our sadness, we can't begin to think what it would be like for his family. God be with you, our deepest condolences. We know that the Lord has a special place for them, and we have peace that His Spirit is at Nirvana. God bless you, my friend, with the deepest love. Rabbi and Myra saying in the beginning of the years. And the prophet says what I would say better than I would say it. And my son Surah, while it breaks me, I cannot be there. I want to pay my respects to a member of my family, our dear boss mama. People remember him as someone who didn't have children, but he did. That was us. And the pure love for music, the level of humor, humility. Growing up, I saw so much of myself in boss mama, our love for the English language, our humor, our tendency to refrain from attending university lectures, for R&B music. And of course, as I found my life's purpose in music, I want to speak to the extent of influence that Botswana had on my. From sitting in the corner, watching the many band practices he and my father had for the infamous Boss Fest, which was his daily music performance. Inspiration and encouragement went far beyond words, and he actively enabled my journey. He provided musical equipment to be able to jam with him again, or converse about the intricacies of sound. But I can't take comfort knowing he will always be with me, my father, and yet my son writes a message better than I can. My father has lost his greatest companion. Hours of conversations at home on a Sunday afternoon. I'm going to miss hearing my father tell stories of Boss Mama, which I later asked him to retell from his side. The various conversations he and Boss Mama had today. I'm going to miss my dad complaining about Boss Mama's habits and ways while reiterating words. For me and my siblings, we say thank you to Bosman for what he has done to us personally and for our parents, and we will eternally miss him. We are so happy he came to sleep in. And I want to just give a few things, a few quick comments from my side. And in the last week, many people have asked me, said, this is your best friend. What he says, also, he didn't like people. No, he didn't. He had lots of friends, never shy at gatherings. He could speak to the youngest and the oldest for hours. He was probably happiest performing. He said, was he married? Was he single, children? I said, no, he was single all his life. So he didn't want to marry. Well, actually, he did want to marry. And he's never had a long-term girlfriend unless he hid it from us. And he always had some new girl that he was always admiring. And some of you don't know this, but he actually proposed to someone 25 years ago. And she accepted. But that's a story for him. He could not get any better managers. Much as he hated his work, he could separate them. He says, I have great managers, great people working under a bad system. So he never made it personal. To his family, he never had a conversation without mentioning his parents and his sisters. If you didn't realize it, you would have to live in the same city or in the same continent. And of course, he could be very frustrated. He slept through alarms. He wouldn't answer his phone for days because he forgot 3 days ago. He took services, speed dial, INET services, they sent him messages every week. That was heaven to him. Cooking was a black box. There was a few unsuccessful attempts, but by God, because he just keeps trying. But as he was more knowledgeable on scripture than most priests, he was equally comfortable in every movement, but he was always promised to go to him. When I saw our passed away a few years ago, my dad, I only remember one thing I want to remember. It says, he was Swami's devotee to the end, to the huge source of pride to him and a huge admiration, and so was he. Music was his passion, as we've spoken about. He brought people together through music and his beloved satsangs, and of course, with every girl that he admired, Dhevin, the pop singer, who ironically, his song was called Crush. And he wrote an entire CD and he went into a studio and he made of himself and other plays people to get to play with him. The shortest formalities you've ever seen in a birthday. He got up when everyone was around, he said, welcome everyone, let's eat. So that not as much, but that's really because, using his words, his congenital laziness. And many people know you to understand some of his words like that one. And maybe lastly to point out that he had one irrational, inexplicable fear. That it was really paranoid. He called me every week. He says, what happened? I wasn't near the match because he felt personally responsible. To tell him when it was mathematically impossible for Man United to win the league. And he says, now I will be peace till next season. And my wife, she knows them maybe a year older than I, more than I did. They were religious soulmates. They connected on the same plane of music and faith. She bears a motivated for my children, especially in the last few years as they reached adulthood and looked forward to many years. But that wasn't not to be. But I had a relationship for 30 years, 30 glorious years. And that's what I want to remember. Not the years I'm going to miss, but the 30 years that I had. We will all miss you, my friend. You are unique and irreplaceable. And you are on a shorter journey than any of us are. And to Auntie Sandy, and sisters, Trish, Devi, the most amazing person with us. I wish you strength. Taste.
Thank you, James, for that beautiful tribute. I'm sure they will process you today. Will be smiling at you. I'm going to do something before I call on the final person. It was just something that Terence mentioned now, and I thought you're quite apt to just acknowledge something very important. Dhevin was never married and never had any children. But amongst us today, there are several children that refer to him either to please Christ. Stand up. These were Devin's children. And there are many others, as James said, who are not here. But they were very special and a very special place. I know your hearts are broken. I know you feel very sad. But just always remember the special place and the special memories. To have crossed paths in your life with somebody when you were so young. Carry that with you always. Take that with you always. Our final tribute for today and message comes from the family. David's youngest sister, as you all know, to come over and Jay's going to be here with her as she pays tribute. Just note also that at some point Trisha is also going to be using the screen, so those of you so that you will be able to see the screens.
I'm able to fathom that I will never speak with or see him again. And I thought, how do you describe so well learned over the course of 50 years in 15 minutes? You can't. But as my sisters and I have been reminiscing, it came to me that the best way to pay tribute to him was to remember have spoken highly of his superior spiritual mind, his devotion to God, his commitment to a life lived in prayer, worship, and understanding of God, and his sharing of that wisdom he gained with our experience. Because while that was a very big part of him, who he was, to me he was just my brother, someone I hero worshipped when I was young, debated with, argued with a lot as I got older, and someone with whom I shared a great number of passions in common. I want to share that person whom I knew, that my sisters and the rest of my family and his closest friends knew, elevated spiritual soul that we lost. Growing up, many people have remarked upon the fact that all four of us were so close as siblings and wondered, how did we spend so many hours? To me, it was a bit of a puzzle. Didn't everyone get along with their siblings the same way? As I grew my own circle of friends and acquaintances, I realized that what we shared was special. We always joked that despite the age differences between we believe to this day that we must have all been together in a previous life, as we were all kindred spirits. So I'm going to share with you today the three aspects of my brother that we think reflects the very best parts of him, that gave him joy, music, and literature. He gave great discourses about Hinduism and Swami, yes, but he was also a voracious reader of both fiction and non-fiction. Arthur Conan Doyle and P.G. Wodehouse. At the same time, he would also tell me to read The Fall of the Roman Empire, a massive tome of about 1,000 pages, which needless to say was a bit beyond my reading abilities at the time. And anytime I asked probably what not to do in the future. I actually disliked history throughout school because no one could make it as fast. The interesting thing was that while he was a pop soul, he was not a literary snob, and he didn't judge any books literally or figuratively by its cover. Did you know that he had a vast collection searching for first edition hardcovers, and he would collect them and other books of that genre and would reread them well into adulthood. In a completely different genre, by comparison, he and I both share a complete set of the Far Side comics by Gary Larson, which is an acquired taste for many unless you have the kind of offbeat and humor that he had. But more on that a bit later. Books were a window to the wide world, expanded once the internet arrived, but it was the ultimate. And it fed his imagination, his creativity, and it fueled his mind. When we were younger and poor, books were also the only access we had to live in different worlds, inhabit the shoes of different people, and get a taste for all the wonderful and terrible things that make up the human experience. We were lucky enough once we reached adulthood to spend time in the UK, London, and Scotland together on several trips over the years. London was the home he yearned to live in, but it was not meant to be, no matter how much he tried. And my heart will always hurt to think of this place so much, but he could not reach for some reason that only strong knows. He made up for it though, through nearly annual trips to the UK, and when we toured places like Hampton Court Palace, Baker Street, Oxford, Cambridge, what books meant to him, but I think I've made my point. And what I hope you will take away from this is, if you are not a wide reader of stories today, open yourself up to any and every kind of reading, and someday we'll open up that copy of The Fall of the Roman Empire just to see what fascinated him so much about the ancient Romans. The second key aspect of knowing, which many have touched on, was music. Similar to books, he was open to sounds like most music except R&B, and this directly shaped about 70% of my music catalog and taste today. Harmonium, as a lot of you knew beautifully, but his go-to favorite instrument was the keyboard. He was also a drummer, and in recent years a guitarist. He recorded many songs over the years, and he would share previews of works in production with me to get my opinion. And I found a few of them the other day, and I've been listening to them, and he was so talented. As his youngest, cheekiest sister, and so at odds with the stoic man who nearly always hid his real feelings behind humor and philosophy. But he took it on with the purple nature of the lyrics, but never let any amount of teasing stop him. In addition to his own musical abilities, his taste in music was superb. Many people will ask me to U2, The Police, Badfinger, INXS, Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, most of whom hit their peak well before I was born. And I realized how often I had credited him with shaping my musical taste. I will forever cherish to this day the countless discussions he and I had and debates about songs and artists over the years. The four of us were all times together over the last 29 years, a big bond that drew us all together. The final aspect of him that I touched on earlier but want to mention is his sense of humor. He was that rare individual. We could be talking about one topic, and suddenly he would bring up a story that had no bearing on the conversation, sometimes laughing so hard that tears would roll down at his comedic timing and delivery. But what I encourage you all to do is reflect on the ways he made you all laugh, or seek out stories from his closest friends. It was such a gift. Laughter permeated our household when we were younger, and it still does today. In the last few days, we've been on a roller coaster. 1 minute we're sobbing, and the next we're laughing hysterically at some memory of him. There's so much rise of hatred, intolerance, and evil that we're seeing around the world, and it can be hard to find hope and positivity. So seek out the laughter that is there, because we all need it. And if you want recommendations of some of our favorite TV sitcoms, find me in the coming days, and I'll be happy to share the shows that he and I watch and enjoy together. So it debates that touched him, but not any of the people and creatures that he loved. So if you bear with me a few more minutes, I want to list a few highlights. The first is my mother. In mother mother gave everything to care for him throughout his life, and even up to the last month when he spent time with her in Dhevin. He had the utmost respect and devotion to her, and he in turn was the kind of son a parent always hopes to have. Good love for Hindu literature, and I'm so glad that he fulfilled his promise to take her to a variety of temples in South India earlier this year, giving her the kind of history lessons along the way that he was famous for. The second is my family. He and my sister Suryan were school friends who played tennis together, and while he was supremely unimpressed when Suryan made a move on Dhevin 27 years ago, in his usual calm manner, he accepted it, and their friendship prevailed unaffected. He shared the same type of knowledge and insights that he did when I was growing up with my niece, Savannah, and my nephew, Karashi. He was Dhevin Mama to them. The very eccentric uncle who spotted so many of his friends on here who have done so much for him. So please take this call out in the spirit that was intended. It would be accurate to say that he was very much outnumbered in a mostly female household. As his sisters and his mother, we of course had the right to scold him for his bad habits, of which we were frankly many. To counterbalance the first is Dinesh. Dinesh was a soul brother to him who went out of his way for about 30 years and kept each other's secrets the way these two did. Dinesh extended that love and care to our entire family, and me in particular. He gave me my start, career, and Joker, and Dinesh and we will forever be grateful for the way you loved and cared for him. The second is tennis. In a world where having a superior intellect can sometimes be very lonely, he would be especially energized and full of ideas. He admired and respected you so much, Terence, and your advice to him over the years in his career was gold. Thank you for being with him till the very end. We are comforted knowing that he was not alone, and we will never forget it. All right, I mentioned the word creatures. Some of you may have thought I misspoke, but I didn't. And he leaves behind his three favorite nephews after Karashi: Cosmo, Baby's cat; Marmalade, Jayshree's cat; and Boga, my cat. Every day, our siblings group chat would start and end with a story about one of them or pictures of them. He would often ignore any other messages we sent him on other unrelated topics, but would 100% of the time respond to any messages related to the cats. So my usual daily update only to realize he's gone, and we will never be able to casually communicate the way we did on an almost daily basis. The lesson he leaves behind here is to be kind to everyone. I do appreciate your patience listening to my memories of him. I thought it would be fitting to close this tribute by playing his favorite version of his favorite song. The song is called Book of Brilliant Things, and the singer wrote it to capture the worlds and knowledge you can access through the brilliance of books, which I thought was especially apropos given by forever hold a special memory for me, as the last time I saw him in person was 2 years ago. The four of us attended 2 concerts in Edinburgh against the backdrop of Edinburgh Castle. When they started playing the opening parts of the song, and we realized it was the version that we wrote out. In all the years he had gone to see Simple Minds, even if he never got to see them again, he would be happy because he finally got to hear that song. This was someone who attended something like 25 to 35 concerts of theirs over the years. So this final song is my last good memory with him. Please enjoy it, and thank you all for being here today to celebrate.
Thank you for that, Trisha. It was truly beautiful and a very much for a very special person. We are almost at the close of we've completed all the tributes that have budget, and thereafter I'll hand you over to Dhevin to donation to take us to the final praise. I just want to share one very special memory that I have with Dhevin. Earlier on, others have spoken about how special Dhevin felt about the temples in the south of India. And there were two temples in particular that were very close to his heart. And that was the temple. And the other temple was the Shiva temple, where Dhevin Samantha sang Todudeva for the first time. Sister Shushi mentioned that. And Dhevin spoke about this so passionately, and he knew I was going to Chidambaram temple, and he told me you have to go to this particular temple. And it was the most conversation a week before Dhevin passed, and we spoke for about an hour. And we used to have these very long, deep conversations. I shared about my trip to India, that I'd gone back to both those temples, and I also had spoken about the fact that I had done the yatra in Kedarnath, which is to do. And maybe he's there now at some other astral level. The other very important thing that he was very passionate about was his Rudram chanting. And again, with many people, even with Sister Shushi and myself, created a WhatsApp group and called it Rudram, because on that we would share. So Dhevin had very special relationships with various people, different kinds of relationships. But he was also, I found, this very... I remember when we used to go in for bhajan practice, that we would sit in this big room that he had, it was over the garage, and we'd be sitting there, we'd be playing the harmonium and we'd be singing, and right next to us there was these drums that he was so passionate about. But that was Dhevin. He was so many things, and each of us take away with us for the happiness and the joy he brought in our lives. So just take a moment, close your eyes and think about a very special time that you shared with him. Something that maybe he made you think about that moment. Let us see some smiles. When you miss him, that's the moment I want you to go to. And that's the moment I want you to remember. Because that's who he was. And that's who he has always taken with us. He is where he wants to be. And that he is what's wrong. And that every one of us was so blessed to have been part of that old souls, very important spiritual journey, and that we too had a role to play in where he is today. Jessica.
साई भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं। साई भजन बिना सुख शांति नहीं। हरि नाम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। वणक्कम, नमस्ते, नमस्कार, Om Shri Sai Ram, Hare Krishna. To all of you, thank you for making the time to come and spend these final moments with all of us. Divorce, it's difficult for me to call him Dhevin. The only Videsh would say, can't call you boss, I'm calling Dhevin and Rajiv. Be the same. You are Dhevin, you're not boss. I don't know how these last few days have gone by in a blur. Before we go on to the final prayers, like Trish did, there's different sides to that. Many of us got to experience in the early days, and this song I'm about to sing right now because this was a bhajan that I liked growing up. And almost 30 years ago, our university friends made a trip to the Grahamstown Hindu Festival. And we traveled in 3 cars. And I know in our car it was myself, Videsh, Prandir and Utara. 5 of us were in that car. Voss was traveling with Ivan in his car. And we sang bhajans and so on throughout that trip. But when we got to East London on the first evening, one of our university friends and family actually to put us up for the night. 15 of us to put us up for the night. And when we got there, they said, please can we have a So naturally we were going as satsangis to go and have a satsang at the Grahamstown Festival, the Hindu week. So we said of taking us around, making sure at that time we all didn't have cell phones and so on. So every one of us got to call home to say we were safe. They took us out to the beachfront and esplanade of East London, got us ice cream and so on. And that evening we got back and they said, let's for bhajans. I was playing the nal. Ishen was there with the tabla. Terence and Boss were there. And Boss looked at me and he said, sing Sat Bhajanami. And I thought he's mad because I could never sing the song. Go back in all the years for all the satsangs. That's the song I sang. And it was through his inspiration. He would always do that to us. The many shows we put on as the HSA for Natal University. Once in advance or sometimes even a year, it sings the song. And again, we think, where did he come up with this? Because for us, those songs were beyond our capacity or capability or musical talent, but we pulled it off. He'd always be the initiator for us with those things. In the early days when he was working at Standard Bank and I started on a Tuesday, I'd take the boss's wife's car, I'd pick him up and we'd go to Natal University to meet Rajiv and the rest of the crew, and we'd sit for satsang and then we'd drive back. That was our thing. And lunch every day, except for the Tuesday, every other day we ate lunch together at Bhagwan's restaurant. You know, these are memories that I treasure and cherish. When he moved from Standard Bank in town and he moved to Pine Town. So I had just bought a place in Pine Town, and at least 3 days a week he come and stay with me. Commute from Tonga was too far. And I think, you know, Auntie Sandy, I should tell Auntie Sandy, you spoiled this fellow. He can't do anything for himself. And I should think, but I'll wake up earlier in the morning to iron these clothes for one. And the one day I said, I'm going to teach you how to iron. So I put a how to make, and the man will vouch for this. Even when we have a new helper, I take them to ironing 101 because I'm very particular about how to iron. So I said, boss, this is how. I left him, and then when I came back, he crowded because we had our own language. Words, as much as he was a master of the English language, he would always say there's not enough words to be able to. I went into the room and I said, boss, what happened? And he said, he had burnt a pair of jeans. Not just burnt it, like made a mark. The iron would go through. So I said, what happened? He said, ironing is too hard. So I would never let him iron again. He lived, I think, the longest with us from any of our friends. Terence's house was always our first port of call whenever we used to do the Dhevin to Joburg weekend drives. Myself, Suits, and Boss were the last 3 of our friends that decided to bid farewell to Dhevin and go to Joburg. So he lived with us, and you know, we put up his quirkiness and his habits. Nirvana, who's a neat freak, really freaked out the first time she came across Boss and his living habits. You know, again, those were some of the best times, having him in the home, and yes, those late night conversations, thinking about what bhajans to sing and compile, you know, to put together, planning the Voss Fest, and as much as we were all vegetarian, you know, a couple years into the Voss Fest, he said to me, he says, you know, how do we sort them out? And I said, don't worry. I said, I will cook for them. Right? And many people ask, oh, you as a vegetarian and you know, you follow the Brahmin path. And I said, that's Boss, I'll do anything for you. I said, without tasting it, without touching it, I'll cook it so that everyone else can enjoy on his birthday. You know, my children, he had a phobia for children. And he did it. Some of them, you know, holding him. He's so scared that he's going to break them. But he did it. And there's so many wonderful memories, you know. I'll share one last one with you before we go. There's too many to talk about. This morning, I think, when we passed the famous wall where Devi and Rod got married, and a couple years later, the Sochi incident happened. But the one funny one I want to share with you, you know, we talk about Sat and Sai Set grew every one day. Boss was so upset with me that we joined the Sai Center in Joburg. He was really upset. He says, we had enough politics in Dhevin, I don't want to do this. That was it. It was satsang and supper together every single Thursday. And he says, we don't need to go to the center, man. Why do you have to do this? Right? Suits is here. Right? So Suits and I, we called him Boss. And affectionately, he never referred to us by our names. We are called Buddha. Right? So I'm Buddha one. why do you want to go and join the Sai Center? Just go for the experience, right? And I told him, I said, no, we just go for bhajans and come away. Right? But obviously that never happened because we are not people to sit by and not help and serve. So we got roped into everything. Such a wonderful support for everyone. There's many people that have come here and shared their tributes from that Sai Center. He's made so many relationships, through that. And he doesn't like waking up early. But in the time when we were there and we took our positions of office bearers, and he'd wake up with me every Sunday morning so that we go. And in one of those times, it was just after Vaishnavi was born. Susan and Kale, they bought this dog that could talk as a pet, or as a Vaishnavi. And we left. Now this is again in winter time. It's very dark, very cold in Johannesburg, and we'd be at the ashram by 4 in the morning to set up for Omkar to start. So I jumped in the car, and he jumped in the front seat. Something in the house. I think it was my laptop, and I said, "Okay, I'm coming now." And I jumped off to go and get the laptop. And when I came back to a very distraught person. I thought his talking dog was in the back seat. And when he sat in and he put the seatbelt on, I think somehow, maybe because I was much bigger then, maybe I shook the car when I jumped off. But the dog fell on the floor, and he was alone in the car, and the dog said, "Hug me." So, to get out of the car, I didn't realize he had the seatbelt on. So he thought somebody was grabbing him from the back seat. And when I got there, he says, Buddha, I'm not going to die. Something got me, something. But on a laughing note, the many things he shared with us, he did. And again, the relationship we shared. He was the Shiva to my Vishnu. We'd always have talks about scripture and share things and talk about the bond between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. And it is something I'm going to miss. So it's not everybody that can understand those types of relationships that we have as brothers on a spiritual level and even on a fun level. We would talk about this. And I think even Terence and the three of us, we had this relationship around names. Whenever we found a name that was, we met, like even Saturday we were together and I told Terence, I said, "Terence, please meet our electrician. His name is Madhavendra Puri, otherwise known." And boss would laugh about that for a long time. We look at all these funny names for Prabhakar, we talk about and when you it's called bobberings, that sound. And so Prabhakar became Bob. Time when we can just, pick up the phone and even with Nirvana, he's like, he'll talk to me and then he'll say, "Okay, I feel like eating." That was his chef, and whatever he felt like eating for the week. On a Sunday, I'd go and drop off food, on a Wednesday again, just around all his favorite things that he'd like to eat. And he was very fussy vegetarian, very fussy, so he would eat many things. But Nirvana knew how to cook for him as well. And then the Nedbank people, Auntie Vino, he would catch her to cook and build up this mountain of Tupperware. Yeah. But that was awesome. time where we need to say our final goodbyes to him. And we're going to rites. I know there's family and friends that are watching in. I want to say thank you for your words and for supporting us. You know, we have Ranveer and Sheena in the US, we have Vishal in Delhi, we have Ishel in Amsterdam. Bad, but I think it's worse for them because they're alone. We've got each other here to help us through this. They're alone. And boss would always make time and effort for all of us. So with that, we can say thank you to all of you. I'm going to ask the family members that are seated here. We have some roses that we're going to offer into the coffin as we close the final prayers here. And then, as I said, we'll go into the final offering at the back in readiness for cremation. The place in the back is small, so we're not going to allow too many people in. But after that, we'd like to, today again, when we're looking at setting his funeral day, yesterday was Ekadasi. Boss would always fast for Ekadasi, and he may not keep the strictest of fast for Ekadasi, but he'll ensure that he does all the chanting for Lord Vishnu for the Ekadasi. And the day after Ekadasi, the Dwadashi day, was an even more special day for him, because it was the day of Pradosham. And Pradosham we observe for Lord Shiva. And he was the greatest Shiva Bhakta that I ever met. And when we looked at all the timing, and I spoke to Rod and Devi, I said, please can we have his funeral on the Tuesday, so that it is the Pradosham day. And the timings and everything worked out. And we're looking at right now, when we go in for cremation, when his ashes are ready for us to do the final prayer at the Sivananda Ghat, it will be the time of Pradosham. I don't think we could have given him a better send-off than that. Because again, at that time of Pradosham, no matter what time, the time that he takes us, but he will make sure, even if it's at 11 o'clock at night, he offer his prayers at that time. We'd like all of you, if you can stay for that as well, when we bring that final offering at the Shivananda Ghat and releasing his ashes, please try to stay for that. Thank you. Sorry, we have just the 15th and 16th day ceremony will take place on the 6th and the 7th of November. The family will share more details about that. There will be a memorial that will take place on the 9th in Mount Edgecombe. And for those of you streaming in and those in Gauteng, we are planning to have a memorial on Sunday, the 10th of November, and we'll share details with you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Brahma
Vinod flower. Give Vinod flowers. Just take extra flowers. Not even
सदाशिवं भजाम्यहं सकलयोगनायकं सुजनचित्रप्रेरकं मनोविलासं सदाशिवं भजाम्यहं सकलयोगनायकं सुजनचित्रप्रेरकं मनोविलासपूरकं सुरेश्वरं गणेश्वरं सनातनाथमानसं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 नमः पुरारि सन्ततं भयाक्रान्तनाशकं सुरेयवीर्यदायकं प्रचान्दताण्डवप्रियं नमः पुरारि सन्ततं भयाक्रान्तनाशकं सुरेयवीर्यदायकं प्रचान्दताण्डवप्रियं त्रिनेत्रधारि शङ्करं त्रिशूलपाणि सुन्दरं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 जलाधरं कृपाकरं सदा उमासेवितं विभूतिवेशभूषितं शशाङ्किकाग्निमण्डलं जलाधरं कृपाकरं सदा उमासेवितं विभूतिवेशभूषितं शशाङ्किकाग्निमण्डलं चन्द्रशेखरं शिवं निरन्तरं तमाश्रये नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 निर्गुणं निरञ्जनं नित्यसत्यमानसं शिलासुरे सुखान्वितं साधुसरं रक्षकं निर्गुणं निरञ्जनं नित्यसत्यमानसं शिलासुरे सुखान्वितं साधुसरं रक्षकं यतीश्वरं मुनीश्वरं यजाम्यहं महर्निशं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शङ्करं ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय साई ॐ नमः शिवाय मनसा स्मराम्यहं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शंकरं नमामि तं महेश्वरं स्मरामि साई शंकरं ओम नमः शिवाय साई ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय साई ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय साई ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय
Up to offer the flowers, we're going to take as you see.
त्रिपुरीश्वर पंकज नेत्र भक्त संरक्षक साई नमो चित्रापति नदी तीर निवासी चिन्ह कृष्ण सत्य साई नमो अत्रिसुतं महादेव प्रसन्नुत आप निवारण साई नमो जय जय हे सत्य साई महेश्वर देहि तव पादयुगे श्री गणनाथ पिता जगदीश्वर काशी विश्वेश्वर साई शिवो श्री गुणनायक मंगलदायक मोक्ष प्रदायक साई नमो भवगुण निग्रह पावन कल्पित परगी महेश्वर साई नमो जय जय हे सत्य साई वेदोदारण नाद स्वरूप श्रीनारायण संभव साई नमो रक्षस निग्रह नर हरि संभव राम अवतार श्री साई नमो अंजनी पुत्र अनुग्रह शोभित आनंद राम श्री साई नमो जय जय हे सत्य साई महेश्वर देहि रतिं तव पादयुगे शोभित श्री मथुरापुरी नायक शोक असुर निवर्तन मंगल नायकी नायक साई नमो सामगान प्रिय नटन मनोहर शंकर जय जय हे सत्य साई महेश्वर देहि रतिं तव पादयुगे शूलाधारण सुंदर रूपा आलाहलक शपन्नग वल्लभ आनंद तांडव साई नमो वरध्वज गोत्र पार्वती रमणा वक्तानुकूल श्री साई नमो जय जय हे सत्य साई महेश्वर देहि रतिं तव पादयुगे सीता मोहन दशरथ
नंदन अयोध्यवासी
पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव नमः पार्वती पतये
मनोहर अंजनी पुत्र श्री साई नमो जय जय हे सत्य साई महेश्वर देहि तव पादयुगे गिरिधर बाल श्री साई नमो युगावतार